The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela is often labeled strange or bizarre, but those labels barely scratch the surface of what is really happening beneath the headlines. This is a nation shaped by extreme landscapes, unusual cultural adaptations, and dramatic historical turns born from colonization, modernization, and economic upheaval. What appear to be anomalies are in reality calculated responses to environment, power, and survival. From relentless lightning storms that once decided naval battles to futuristic architecture that transformed into tools of state surveillance, Venezuela's past defies conventional logic. In this journey, we uncover 10 extraordinary singularities grounded in real science, verified history, and social consequence. At number 1, we begin with one of the most unusual political decisions of the modern era, when Venezuela quite literally altered its relationship with time. In the year 2007, President Hugo Chavez issued a presidential decree ordering the nation's clocks to be turned back by exactly 30 minutes, creating a unique time zone that placed Venezuela 4.5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. Chavez justified the decision by arguing that it would allow school children to wake up with daylight rather than darkness, reduce exhaustion among poorer citizens who traveled early in the morning, and prevent students from arriving at school completely worn out. He publicly claimed that the change was scientifically proven to improve the biological and metabolic functioning of the human brain, which he said was deeply conditioned by exposure to sunlight. Some scientists supported the move, noting that Venezuela's geographical width made the adjustment rational, but much of the international community viewed it as an eccentric expression of a leader determined to reshape every aspect of national life. This distinctive time zone remained in place for 9 years, until 2016, when Chavez's successor, Nicolás Maduro, moved the clocks forward again in an effort to extend evening daylight and reduce strain on the electrical grid during a severe national energy crisis caused by drought. Coming in at number 2 is one of the most extreme and visually arresting natural phenomena on Earth, located at the exact point where the Catatumbo River flows into Lake Maracaibo. This region exists in a near-constant state of electrical activity known as the Relámpago del Catatumbo, or the Catatumbo lightning. It is recognized as the most frequent and concentrated lightning display in the world, producing up to 28 lightning strikes per minute for as long as 10 hours per night. These storms occur on roughly 100 to 300 nights each year, resulting in more than 1.2 million electrical discharges annually. The sheer density of this activity earned the region a Guinness World Record as the area with the highest concentration of lightning strikes per square kilometer on the planet. Beyond its scientific significance, the phenomenon has played a crucial role in Venezuelan military and naval history. Known historically as the Lighthouse of Maracaibo, or the Catatumbo Beacon, its constant illumination allowed sailors to navigate from distances of up to 400 miles. In 1595, the lightning exposed English privateer Sir Francis Drake during a nighttime attempt to attack Maracaibo, as the flashes revealed his fleet and alerted Spanish defenders. A similar event unfolded in 1823 during the Venezuelan War of Independence, when the lightning betrayed a Spanish fleet attempting a covert landing, ultimately contributing to a decisive Republican victory. Landing at number 3 is a story of obsession, survival, and discovery tied to the naming of the world's tallest waterfall, now known globally as Angel Falls. Long before the Western world became aware of it, the Pemon indigenous people knew the waterfall as Quetepacupai Meru, but the massive 979-meter cascade remained unknown internationally until the 1930s. American aviator James, known as Jimmy Angel, first spotted the falls in 1933 while flying solo over the region in search of a legendary river of gold. His fixation with that myth brought him back on October 9, 1937, when he landed his aircraft named El Rio Caroni on the summit of Ayllón Tepuy alongside his wife Marie and 2 companions. Although the landing itself succeeded, the plane sank into deep mud, snapped a fuel line, and became permanently stuck. Stranded on the top of the plateau with limited supplies, the group was forced to undertake a brutal 11-day descent through dense jungle to survive. The aircraft remained abandoned on the mountaintop for 33 years, standing as a silent monument to Angel's failed gold expedition, which ultimately led not to riches, but to the global recognition of a natural wonder 15 times taller than Niagara Falls. At number 4, we arrive at Mount Roraima, one of the most ancient and surreal landscapes on Earth, rising from the Venezuelan Guyana highlands. This region is defined by tepuis, enormous flat-topped sandstone mesas that shoot vertically out of the rainforest like stone fortresses. Mount Roraima is the tallest of them and represents a surviving fragment of a massive Proterozoic plateau that formed between 1.7 and 2 billion years ago, placing its rock among the oldest on the planet. Towering cliffs approximately 400 meters high ring the plateau, sealing off the summit for millions of years and creating near-total isolation. That isolation transformed the mountaintop into a true evolutionary island, where roughly 35% of plant and animal species exist nowhere else on Earth. Among them is the Roraima bush toad, which has evolved to crawl instead of hop, and a variety of carnivorous plants adapted to survive in extremely nutrient-poor soil. The strange, alien appearance of the plateau so captivated British author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle that it inspired his 1912 novel The Lost World, which imagined a remote tableland where prehistoric life endured into the modern age. Kicking things off at number 5 is the event that reshaped Venezuela's destiny and launched its transformation into a global energy powerhouse. In 1922, at an oil well known as Barrosos II, drillers pierced a massive underground reservoir under extreme pressure, triggering one of the most dramatic blowouts in petroleum history. The well exploded into what witnesses described as a black monster, blasting crude oil 130 feet into the air and showering the surrounding countryside with an estimated 100,000 barrels per day. This uncontrolled eruption continued for 9 straight days, filling the sky with a deafening roar and coating the land in what locals called black rain. Terrified residents turned to faith, organizing a religious procession for their patron saint, San Benito. They carried his image toward the raging well, singing praises and praying for the eruption to end. When the flow finally stopped due to natural pressure loss, the community proclaimed it the miracle of San Benito. Beyond the spiritual interpretation, the blowout sent a clear signal to international investors that Venezuela possessed underground oil riches of staggering scale, permanently setting the nation on the path to becoming a petro-state. Coming in at number 6 is one of the strangest intersections of religion and biology in Venezuelan history, centered on the capybara, the largest rodent in the world. During the colonial era, Catholic clergy faced a serious dilemma. Church law forbade the consumption of meat during Lent, yet much of the local population depended on capybara meat as a primary protein source. Seeking a solution, clerics petitioned the Vatican in 1784, arguing that because the capybara lived largely in water, possessed webbed feet, and produced meat that when salted and dried resembled fish in texture and flavor, it should be treated as fish for religious purposes. The Vatican accepted the argument, officially classifying the semi-aquatic mammal as a fish during Lent. Since that ruling, capybara has remained a traditional Lenten staple in Venezuela, most commonly prepared as pisillo de chigüire, a dish made from shredded and salted meat. This decision stands as a rare historical example of how colonial necessity forced religious authorities to radically reinterpret biological categories.
Wrapping things up at number 7 is the striking economic contradiction known as Venezuela's petrol paradox. The country sits atop the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, estimated at over 300 billion barrels, accounting for roughly 18% of the entire global total. This extraordinary abundance led the government for decades to heavily subsidize gasoline to the point where it was effectively free, with prices averaging around 1 United States cent per liter. For many years, it was genuinely cheaper to fill an entire vehicle tank with high-octane fuel than to buy a small bottle of mineral water from a convenience store. This subsidy became deeply embedded in Venezuelan society, shaping a national mindset in which energy was viewed as an endless and almost divine gift. Yet this dependence on oil wealth has proven dangerous, leaving the nation exposed and vulnerable. Despite resting on the world's richest energy reserves, Venezuela now faces one of the most severe economic collapses in modern history, a stark reminder of how abundance can become a trap rather than a safeguard. At number 8, we encounter one of the most haunting symbols of Venezuela's broken promises of modernity, a structure known as El Helicoide, located in the heart of Caracas. Conceived in the late 1950s, this massive pyramid-shaped complex was envisioned as the largest and most futuristic shopping mall in the Americas. Its design was revolutionary, featuring a 4-kilometer double-helix spiral roadway that allowed cars to drive directly upward to the doors of 300 luxury boutiques, blending consumerism with speed, technology, and architectural ambition. That dream collapsed in 1958 when a military coup abruptly halted construction and sent the project into decades of neglect and abandonment. In 1985, the unfinished building was seized by the State Intelligence Police, formerly known as the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, and repurposed for an entirely different function. The grand spaces meant for elite retail were transformed into prison cells and, most notoriously, torture chambers. Today, former political detainees describe El Helicoide as a hell on earth, where a structure once meant to symbolize progress and prosperity now operates as a center of repression, its spiraling ramps serving not freedom and movement, but confinement and fear. Coming in at number 9 is the Torre de David, officially named the Centro Financiero con Finanzas, a 45-story skyscraper in Caracas that became the most famous vertical slum in the world. Originally designed as a gleaming financial headquarters, construction came to a sudden stop in 1994 after a devastating national banking crisis left the tower as an unfinished concrete shell. In 2007, desperation turned into ingenuity when 200 homeless families occupied the abandoned structure, a number that eventually grew to more than 3,000 residents. With no functioning elevators, the inhabitants created an improvised transportation system, using motorcycles as taxis to carry people up the sloped ramps of the adjacent parking garage. Inside what became known as the slumscaper, life evolved into a surprisingly organized community. Residents installed their own plumbing and electricity, and nearly every floor featured small grocery shops, barber shops, and communal services. On the 30th floor, they even built a gym, fashioning weights from the heavy gears of elevators that had never been installed. Although the tower was fully evacuated in 2014, the Torre de David remains the world's most iconic case study of informal vertical architecture and urban survival. Closing out at number 10 is a phenomenon that reveals a very different side of Venezuelan identity, often referred to as the factory of perfection. Venezuela is internationally recognized as one of the most dominant beauty pageant nations on Earth, having produced 7 Miss Universe winners and 6 Miss World winners, a level of success that rivals and often surpasses the popularity of major sporting events. Beauty competitions in Venezuela are treated as national spectacles and are frequently among the most watched programs on television. This dominance is not accidental, but the result of a deeply entrenched beauty industry, complete with specialized academies dedicated to physical aesthetics, grooming, posture, communication skills, and public performance. The cultural obsession with refinement and perfection has reached such heights that pageant winners have transitioned into serious political roles. A notable example is Irene Saez, who won Miss Universe in 1981 and later ran for the presidency in 1998. This systematized pursuit of beauty and global recognition illustrates a unique national pathway to prestige, where international influence and identity are shaped through aesthetic excellence as much as through politics or economics. Venezuela's story proves that reality can be far stranger than fiction when history, nature, and human ambition collide. Each of these moments reveals how extreme conditions and bold decisions shaped a nation in unexpected ways. If any of these stories surprised you, share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which one shocked you the most. Like the video, subscribe for more deep, fascinating history, and thanks for watching.